Hi everyone, Aquarian Humanitarian here. If you're new to this channel, we have been putting out self-development videos related to mental health, consciousness, soul missions, and purpose that would help you ascend to the new earth. So today will be part two of last week's discussion about energy frequency and vibration. And we will also discuss some of the common things that people unknowingly do that sabotage their ascension process. So, with that said, I want to welcome Sir Tato Malay, the founder of the AM Kamalayan Movement. Kamalayan means consciousness. Welcome, Sir Tato, and thank you for being here again to share your wisdom.
Yes, I'm happy to really be again be part of this podcast every time. Well, we normally record it on a certain day. So hi, and today we'll be discussing a lot of things that might really be shocking to many of you. So just have an open mind. Just continue listening to us in terms of learning more things that are not actually being taught in schools or in church, or what I mean by church is religion or whatever. So here you will find new information that could really uplift your life. So, game. So, what's our topic for today, Jane?
Well, we can continue with the same line of thought from last week, which is vibration frequency and energy. If there's anything else that we missed last week, and then maybe also if people are not aware, perhaps we can share our experience with the frequency healing device because it really helped you, it really helped me, and it helped a lot of people. So I don't know where you want to
Okay.
start. Um,
Yeah, we can start from that so that we can deviate later on if ever we have other things that we can discuss.
yeah. So I
So,
just I
well,
wanted
actually,
to
yeah,
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think it's important to discuss about the frequency healing device because what happens is, like I mentioned to you this morning, you know, most of the people are vibrating in low vibrational frequency. And what happens when you're not feeling good, when you have, when your back hurts or your knee hurts or whatever pain you have, you're not happy because you're in pain, right? So for me, it
right,
would
right.
be my back and my knee and my wrist. That's my pain pain points. So when I came across the frequency healing device back in 2023, I started using it consistently and it has improved my health in many different ways. So I got rid of all those pains. And when we get rid of our pains and our suffering, of course, our vibrational frequency changes as well. So we basically entrain ourselves to the frequency of the device, which is a very high vibration. So I just wanted to
Okay, all
make
right.
sure
So,
that,
what is it? What is this device all about? Because people think of something that they have never seen. I mean, so they're imagining what kind of a device this is. Well, I don't know if you have actually seen some pictures of ours that we have been showing beforehand about, I mean, how we were able to actually use the certain device. Actually, I don't know if you can post some pictures at this point in time so that at least our listeners or our viewers can really relate to it at once. Because otherwise, if we talk about all these things, all about this device, and they don't have any idea how it looks like, maybe it would be more, I would say, advantageous if we can, if we can actually pick out some photos. Like I think we have a lot of them. How it is being used? Actually, it's actually uh, by using our feet. We put our feet on top of it, and then for 30 minutes, we actually already are healed through a certain frequency. So I'll give you the time for that. So at least later on, you can look for some photos that we can show them. No
What I
problem
can
about that.
do,
So
what I can do
now,
is, what
yeah,
I
well,
can
I
do
mean, you
is,
can edit later on. I mean, when you edit, yeah,
what I can
you
do
actually can insert
later
it later on out.
is include the Facebook um profile for VGC Facebook page, because there's a lot of information there. They can see photos and the
Yep,
benefits, and
yep.
it's not only about the device, it's science, it's quantum.
Okay, okay, very good. So at least people will know exactly what it is all about. But okay, what is frequency? When we talk about frequency, well, we actually remember what Tesla said. Everything in this universe is all about energy, frequency, and vibration. All right. So everything is energy. Now, what do we do with that energy? What can we do about that energy? So practically, we have to know what frequency is all about, because the frequency that we are going to use will determine the kind of energy that we will experience. All right. So maybe that's still vague. Now, again, I mentioned three factors, three things here: energy, frequency, and vibration. Now, the thing here is we have to also know what or how to vibrate, or what it entails to actually make something vibrate to enter a certain frequency. So all these things are interrelated. Are okay. So what I am now going to first explain here is something that was already that is still available to all of us, even if you don't have yet the device, because energy is everywhere. We have energy, and the best energy that we can really experience, especially in relation to our health, is when we are one with nature, when we are one with our natural surroundings, like the trees, the grounds, the sand, the air, the, the water that we experience. So all these things are free, libre. We can avail of it. But if you're living in a city like Manila, chances are you're not able to actually get to a, a certain place where you can initially or easily experience these things. You have to go out to the provinces to be able to locate for the places that can really be of help in terms of the kind of natural surroundings that you want. Either you want the seaside or the mountain. So it's all actually are they're all helpful for us in terms of what it does. Because people think that nature is not really helpful to our health, to our well-being. But if you understand how nature works and how we can become one with nature, that means we can really now avail of that kind of free energy that can really make us 100% healthy every time. But since many of us are not, again, as I've said, nearby or living nearby those kinds of places, I don't think you will really be able to now uh, avail of that kind of free energy that I'm talking about, since we're not close to nature. We're close to what? Buildings, concrete buildings. And so all this concrete buildings with all the Wi-Fi signals or the electricity, the electronic waves that are actually being bombarded to our gadgets that we use, actually
Mhm.
they affect everything in our body as well.
Yep.
So that means we are always being weakened by all these things that are now happening while living in a place like, in a city where we are really now not able to really enjoy the natural surroundings that we're supposed to be enjoying. And the thing is, what can we do if we have nowhere or nothing that can be done to be able to avail of that kind of free energy? Well, as I've said, we have this gadget called Therapy 90 that we use that can be doing the kind of, I would say, function of what nature can give us. When you put your
Yep.
feet on the ground, on the machine, it's like putting your feet on on the ground that you actually can walk
Soil.
without any shoes, so that your feet really can get the energy, the kind of frequency from nature. Now, what do I really want to explain here? I learned all these things during the 1980s when I actually met a person who was into, I would say, environmental concerns. And he was more of really into um, um, what do you call this? Planting trees or planting seeds that will become trees in the future. And I met him in Cebu because one time I actually had the chance to be in Cebu, and he was there in a certain hill that he was actually trying to, um, um, I would say, to to put, I mean, to plant the kind of seeds that would really now, uh, I would say, make that mount or that hill green again, because it was already during that time when I was there, it was still denuded. What I mean by denuded, it was barren. There were no trees, there were no plants, and they went there to practically for that purpose to plant whatever plants they can plant there and the trees. And so, okay, so I was I was also able to see a well, the kind of wildlife he had, because he had a certain zoo. I mean, yeah, a zoo where he had some wild animals that were there. And so sabi niya, this is something that we want to make out of this place, a place where nature can really be, I would say, be alive, like having animals, because they can actually be able to sustain the kind of life that what they are planning to do there would become. So with all the plants that they will now plant there, so parang magiging natural na that it would be able to sustain life in that particular hill, because actually it was during that time it was really barren. So now when we were walking, I noticed that he was walking barefooted. I mean, he was dressed in a robe, this guy, and he belongs to a tribe. He was able to put a tribe. Eh, Actually, they came from Ilocos, they're all Ilocanos. And then they went to Cebu to do that kind of tree planting. And then, you know, I noticed that they were wearing a certain robe, which was native to them. And they were growing whiskers, the guys. They were not shaving their faces. And I asked them, why do you grow your hair long? Why do you grow your whiskers long? And they said, this is these are our natural
Extensions.
antenna in terms of communicating with nature.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to grow them naturally. Okay. Now, what about why are you not wearing shoes or slippers? I asked them. Well, because this is where we get our energy. What do you mean you get your energy? Walking barefooted on the ground. I mean, people might think it's not clean, but practically we just uh, clean afterwards. But then while walking in the streets, we walk naturally barefooted, and we are connected to nature by doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, so what does that happen? Or what does that entail in terms of what help can it do to you? Can it do to us, to our body? But this is where we really get to be energized. All our cells are practically energized.
Mm-hmm.
What do we mean by energized? I mean, you won't get sick? Yes, exactly. Okay, so that's good, but it's so hard to walk barefooted. I told him, well, sanayan lang yan, sabi niya. I mean, you should really be, it's all about just be accustomed to really walking on, I mean, without any pair of slippers or shoes. Okay. But if you have a place where you can, go walking barefoot, why don't you do it? Sabi sa akin gano'n. Sabi ko, I stay in Manila, but I think, I walk on cement. And so when it gets hot, it's really hot. I mean, I cannot walk without slippers or without my shoes on. Okay, so that's your disadvantage. Okay, sabi ko, sayang, no? I mean, sana we can actually have that kind of a place in Manila. So I tried to find out if there were some things already available that could duplicate that kind of, I would say, um, that kind of
Benefits.
power that it can give or benefits to our body. And I was able to find out about it um, during that time. And there were some machines or gadgets that were really developed for that purpose. The same purpose that Father Tropa, was the name of the guy that I was talking to, was Father Tropa. He said, I mean, well, he mentioned that yes, in the US, there are already some gadgets that are available, but they're
Mm-hmm.
very expensive. And when I looked at them, my God, I saw the price 1 million pesos. 1 million. That means several hundred thousands of dollars during that time. Sabi ko, I cannot afford that. Sabi ko, sayang. All right. Anyway, that was in the 1980s. But already, that thing was implanted in my mind already. The frequency that I could get from the ground, the kind of healing that I could get from walking barefooted from the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on the ground. And so when we met, how many years ago? 2 years ago, you told me that there was something that you wanted me to try. And then when I found out what it was all about, I said, my God, this is something that I've been looking for. Sabi
Mm-hmm.
ko, this is something that I wanted to really have, but it's so expensive. And then sabi mo nga, well, it's not so expensive anymore. And so
Yeah.
you introduced me to it. And from that time on, I started using it. And I'm so happy because you were able to tell me and to really bring into my life in reality already that kind of a machine that I have been looking for how many years already, from the 80s, imagine. How many years ago was that? So now I am able to make use of that. And as I've said, what Father Papa promised in terms of what it does to our body, it actually really does. It does the same thing. The gadget, the therapy 90 that we are using now. So I have been using it every day, and well, you can see me here alive and kicking and not complaining about anything, except, for example, sometimes there are some, I would say, things that happen in our atmosphere. And so we get that kind of frequency that sometimes we cannot actually
Interrupts.
just that we can overcome. So, but using the therapy 90, it actually can really be of help in terms of, well, appeasing the pain that we experience, or the kind of discomfort that we're experiencing. So again, okay. Now the thing is something that can really be now available for everyone. And as I've said, I recommend that you try it. What I mean by you try it, you really, look for people who can show you how it is being used. So either you can call me directly or Jane here. So Jane can, I think we'll post some information later on in this video as to how to connect to us, so that we can actually lend you and make you experience the machine that we're talking about. Now the thing here is, okay, we're talking of frequency. During I would say the 90s, since I didn't have that yet during the 90s, I was dealing with a certain kind of frequency that could actually heal our body. But we didn't call it frequency. We called it mental equivalent. Mental equivalent. What do we mean by mental equivalent? Everything that happens in our, I mean, to our body has a mental equivalent. What do we mean by mental equivalent? Every thought, every feeling that we think of, that we feel, whether positive or negative, affects our body. So sometimes, like for example, you mentioned that you get some back pains, or pains on your leg and or on your wrist. All right. Now I'm going to read something here so that I will not be able to miss out on the important things that the important, I would say, um,
It's not my leg,
where
it's
is
my
this
knee.
already? What?
My back, my knee, and my
Oh,
wrist.
it's your knee. Okay, your
Yeah,
knee. Okay.
my knee. Yeah.
I'm sorry. All right. All right. Wait. All right. Where did I put my notes? Well,
I remember
did
this discussing with you, and it's on point.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was on point, definitely.
Okay. Kanina already, I was already looking at it, reading it from this phone. No, the thing is, oh, anyway. So I know. Yeah. Okay. It's a good thing I didn't do anything about it. Okay. All right. As I've said, what we are now talking about is what we call, in this day and age, what we are now dealing with is what Albert Einstein mentioned during his time, that the future of medicine is frequency medicine. So he mentioned that during his time, and now we are already experiencing what we call frequency medicine. But in the 90s, we did talk about frequency medicine, but instead mental equivalent. Now, the thing here is whatever happens in our mind in terms of our thinking, our thoughts, and our feelings or our emotions has a mental equivalent. Like what does anger and hostility do to us? If you're always angry and you're always mad or hostile, what is the effect in our body? It can lead to conditions like arthritis and heart problems. So that means, like for example, I don't know if your knee, if you're already experiencing some sort of an arthritis. So maybe if you're experiencing anger at some moments in your life, it actually um, uh, transforms or rather becomes a sickness or a disease. And you know, that's what happens. Now, if you have all this kind of fear or takot in your life, di ba, many of us are always fearful. So normally, fearful people get to become asthmatic or sometimes tuberculosis. That's why tuberculosis is still the number one sickness in our country right now, because many of our countrymen are fearful. They're afraid of what's going on in their life. They don't know what's going on now. I mean, they're afraid, and that fear transforms or becomes a disease. So, I mean, all these things we studied and tried to prove them wrong or right, and somehow we were able to prove them right. And so, eto lang, again, what does this mean? This is what we call frequency. Because when you are vibrating in anger with your emotional, what do you call this? When you're becoming emotional at a particular time, you are already vibrating that, and you are now what? Selecting a particular frequency. And where will that frequency in our body become attached? That's why I said if it's anger and hostility, it can become a disease like arthritis or anything that has to do with our heart problems. Kaya nga, di ba, sabi nga nila, ako, huwag ka magkalit masyado, baka atakihin ka sa puso. Di ba? Yan. Because basically, it really is directly connected to the heart. So the frequency is your heart. So it goes there. So everything that we feel becomes a frequency. Everything that we vibrate becomes a frequency. And it is a part of our body. That is where the frequency lies. All right? So again, we have to learn these things because sometimes, nga, even with the therapy 90, somehow, if we are not able to still uh, overcome this mental equivalence first, we cannot really be cured easily or completely, because still there is something that is vibrating inside our body. Remember, it's our thoughts and our feelings that create the disease in our body. It's our emotions. So that's why we're trying now to completely explain here how we can be of help in terms of what's going on really with our health. Kasi many of us rely on doctors or hospitals and we think that this is the only place where we can really become where we will really be healed. But again, even if we go to those people, those doctors, if you don't uh, understand what we're now discussing here regarding frequency, energy, and vibration, maybe they can give you some medicine that can appease the pain for a moment, but the disease remains where I
Yep.
mean where it is. Like you know, cancer is not something that can be cured. So even if you go to a very experienced doctor, I don't think they would be really be of a big help in terms of overcoming that particular disease. Because at this point in time, up to now, they think science still say that they still haven't found a cure for cancer. But we have already found a cure for cancer. And we have already what we call now this frequency medicine that we're now talking about. And not only that, where does cancer come from? From our emotions. Like what kind of emotions? Hatred, anger, um, revenge or being vengeful, jealousy, all these kinds of emotions, unforgiveness. This would create the kind of cancer in your body. So if you don't believe us, I don't know what can really make make you believe in terms of what we're talking about here. But somehow, sabi nga namin, this is something that science has already proven. That's why the first thing doctors now tell you if you're now going to consult for something like a cancerous thing, the first thing they would say now is, sino pa bang hindi mo pinapatawad? Patawarin mo na. Because they know already unforgiveness is a cause for cancer. So having explained all these things, I don't need to dwell more on the other areas. I think I I have already explained exactly what we're trying to talk about here or discuss here in terms of frequency medicine and what we're now trying to tell people what exactly they can do, especially uh, getting that kind of a machine that is already available for all of us now. So you might want to add more to that before we talk about other things,
Yes,
or
I
maybe ask
do.
more.
I have while you're talking, I looked at some of the information that I've gathered over the years about emotional pain, emotional frequency. So there's let me talk about this real quick. Um, in my first book, in the index part, I attach a scale called emotion frequencies. So every emotion is equivalent to a certain frequency, and our goal is to always strive for the high frequency. So let me just go through it real quick because this is important. Shame is 20 hertz, very, very low. And there's a lot of people that's feeling like that. Guilt, guilt is 30 in the scale. Apathy
Yep.
is 50, grief 75, fear 100, desire 125, anger 150, pride 175, courage 200, You see how it's going up? So it's as you raise your vibration, your frequency uh, rises too. So courage, you're going up to 200, neutrality 250, willingness is 310. When you start accepting things, you go up to 350. Reason is 400, and love is 500. Joy is 540, peace is 600, enlightenment is 700, and the highest one, which is not in the scale, is authenticity. Authenticity. So if we're not being authentic, then we're not vibrating in high frequency. So just that's all you got to remember. And the other thing that I wanted to share here is there's a meme that says the future of medicine is frequency. Do you know that our soul is composed of harmony? You can look at disease as a form of disharmony, and there's no organ system in the body that's not affected by sound, by music, and vibration. So the
Exactly.
music that you listen to matters. Okay. I remember in one of the conversation, Sir Tato mentioned that, a lot of our songs are very depressing, right?
That's
And that
true.
affects, yep, and that affects us. So
You
choose,
can easily, see everything that's happening now in our country.
yep, yeah. So now that you know that, maybe you need to change the kind of music that you listen to.
Mhm.
The other thing that I want to share is the emotional pain in the body. So I'm gonna read the parts of the body and what that represents. So similar to what Sir Tato was mentioning earlier. So if you have a headache, it says invalidating the self-criticism and fear.
Right.
That's what it's your emotion is when you're having headache. When you have lung issue, depression, grief, and
Inferiority.
not feeling worthy. That's lungs. If you have
Yeah,
issue with
that's why as I've said in the Philippines, the number one sickness is tuberculosis
yep,
because people feel unworthy. Filipinos
yep,
feel unworthy.
yep. So yeah, so it corroborates what he's saying. If you're having issue with your abdomen, that means fear, anxiety,
Mm.
anxiety stopping the process. When you have hips or low back issue, that's the fear of going forward in major decisions. When you have knee issue, it represents pride and ego. It's a stubborn ego and pride. That's me. I had to let that go. If you have issues in your feet, it means inability to understand ourselves, life, or others.
Yeah,
It's fear of stepping forward. When you have issues with your ankles, it means inflexibility and guilt. It's the inability to receive pleasure. You have issues with your hands, you have issues with letting go, and you're holding on tightly. With the arms and elbows, it means you're resisting change. Arms and elbows. If you have shoulder pains, it means you're carrying the weight of the world. If you have pain in your neck, it means inflexibility, unbending, stubbornness. That's what that means.
yes.
So that's the emotional pain in the body. Now you know. And the last thing that I want to share is I'm just going to go through the list of some of the things that uh, what what we're trying to share to you. The P90 frequency healing device. It actually uses two. That's why this is so powerful because it uses two technologies, terahertz and pulse electromagnetic field (PEMF)
Yeah,
and
PMF.
terahertz.
Okay, I forgot to
Yeah.
mention PMF.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why it's very powerful because it uses those two. So um just to read this through, it's also called the human cell charger. So you know how you charge your phone, also have to charge our
Okay,
body,
okay.
right?
Before you continue talking about therapy 90, going back to the mental equivalence, as we are, as what you were discussing uh, a while ago. You know, in Kamalayan, we actually don't ask the question, what is the matter with you? The question that we ask is, who is the matter with you? All
Yeah.
right. Why is it very important? It's not a material thing, so we don't actually dwell on what's the matter, question, what's the matter with you? Who is the matter with you? Why? Our body is divided into two. And the middle, everything on the left side has to do, has something to do with a woman. If you get a disease on the left side of your body, it has something to do with a woman that you are actually dealing with. On the right side is a man. So you can identify easily, why am I experiencing this? Who is the matter with me now? What who is that person again that I am now angry at? Or what am I who am I now uh, addressing this kind of an emotion that I'm feeling right now? So at least you would know. Because the moment you are able to identify the person, whether you're a girl or a boy, easily you can now forgive and say, okay, now I will just let go of that. I'm sorry. Thank you. I will not anymore think about this. And you will now easily see the kind of healing that would take place.
Relief.
I mean, that's all. Relief. Yep.
Relief. You'll be relieved
So yeah,
with.
the relief.
Okay.
Yeah, continue
So
now,
thank you
please.
for sharing that. That's a good point that you mentioned. I did hear you say that, share that in with us before. So that's good that you mentioned it here so people also know about it. So um, basically, this device that we're talking about again uses the PMF and terahertz. It's for longevity and reversal of aging as well. Um, so I'm just going to go through the list. It's a long list, but I'm sure you will find one of some of the pains that you have experiencing from this list. Number one, pain relief, reduce acute and chronic pain. We have testimonies to prove this. Um, two, healthy heart function, improve blood circulation and microcirculation. Answer to ED, enhance sleep quality, improve mental focus and
Oh,
concentration.
wait. Before you continue, answer to ED.
Mhm.
Did you actually mention ED? Is it erectile dysfunction?
Yeah, I didn't want to mention it like that, but now that you,
Well, I mean, I think especially now that I am able to experience that, I think for people who think that they're already not or they're past their prime in terms of their age, I don't think it is a problem now because with this therapy 90, it really helps in our blood circulation. So that means it heals that kind of a problem, especially when it comes to men. So, baliwala kayo. I know, baka sabihin mo hindi totoo. Totoo yan. So, that's what I'm just trying to explain here. So, please continue.
okay, good. Thank you for sharing that. And it's not only for male testimony, we also have female testimony.
Oh
Um,
yes, I've heard about that as well.
yeah.
Mm.
So
They became
another,
very active again.
yeah. So the next one is boost muscle performance, promote faster recovery after training, reduce stress, anxiety, and depression, fast healing and recovery of bone fractures and joint sprain, reduction of inflammation and swelling, strengthen your bones, acupuncture stimulation, antibacterial, antifungal, and antiviral benefit. Anti-edema activity, relieve muscle spasm, promotes autophagy, increase mitochondria and ATP production. It enhances detoxification, boost immune system, improve nerve conductivity, better oxygenation, promotes function of your red blood cells, protects skin against free radicals, stem cell stimulation, increase growth factors, reverse aging, reduce chronic and post-operative inflammation, reduce COVID-associated symptoms and facilitate recovery, reduce viscosity of blood, improve oxygen uptake by tissues, help relieve rheumatic disorders, arthritis, fibromyalgia, osteoporosis, improve cellular pH. That's important. We need to have an alkaline body, not acidic. Improve bone density. It's used by astronauts. Reduce muscle loss after surgery and enhance metabolism and digestion. So again, this is just based on our own experience about our healing process. You know, we're not medical professionals, so you have to do your own research. But look into PEMF and terahertz waves technology. That's it.
Yeah, good.
On this point. So the next point that I'd like to talk about is I think we should be able to quickly go through this. Um, let's see, you kind of mentioned it earlier already, but let me just mention it again. So common things that people do unknowingly that sabotage their ascension process, like unforgiving, attachments to materialism, low vibrational frequency. You want to add to that?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now the thing here is, what do we really mean by ascension? We want to elevate what, or are we talking about awakening? Are we discussing enlightenment? So I think all of the above. I mean, that's part of it. I mean, that's what we're now trying to discuss here. Now, what is really important for us to understand is that, all right, I've been teaching this a long time ago, and people cannot appreciate what I was talking about then, because somehow they think of me as somewhat heretic or blasphemous, because when I say ascension, you know, you are shifting your consciousness to a higher consciousness. And during that time, remember, I was talking about Christ consciousness. And that's the highest consciousness, basically, that we have, that we can really experience. But the thing here is, people were not, I mean, people were, during that time, we were not aware that we were already on that level. They, those who are now trying to control our life here on earth, they are trying to suppress that kind of information in us so that we will not be able to think of ourselves as God, as we. Because if you are now able to really experience that kind of, I would say, consciousness, that Christ consciousness, that means you can now become God. You are not, you cannot become, you are not becoming God, but you are actually uh, are are able to I mean, you are now able to have that knowledge that you are really God. Remember Adam and Eve when they were warned not to eat of the tree of the good and evil, and then Eve still ate that apple, that fruit, and then what became of her? Was that really something that was bad? No, because we were warned that if you eat the true, I mean the fruit of the tree of the fruit, I mean fruit of the tree of knowledge, you will now become aware of who you are, and that's what they did want us to learn as to who
Yep.
we were. So in other words, ascension. When we talk about ascension, we are already ascend. We have already ascended really in terms of who we are, but they tried to cover it up and then tried to pull us down, put us down in terms of who we were because they still wanted to control us and make us their slaves. But now everything is out in the open. And during that time already I knew who I was. And I was telling people all these things. And of course they did not appreciate what I was telling them. And so they turned away from my Kamalayan study groups during that time. And sabi nila, nako, Tato, mukha yata, kulto yata ang pinag-uusapan yan. So, ginawa ko munang kwan, disimulado. I changed my approach to it. So, in terms of, I said, okay, we are not, I'm not that yet, all right, but we are going to evolve to that, all right. So, yun ang naging ko po, to help in the upliftment of consciousness. But earlier on, I knew already who I was. I mean, it was in the Bible. We are God as we. So sabi ko, oh, why can't we accept that? And so
Yep.
ito yan. Now the thing is, up to now, many of us believe that we are still unworthy of many things in life. And what does that mean? That means we cannot accept who we are. Remember, it's not actually remembering, or we don't want to become another person or another successful being in this earth. All we need to do is to remember who we are. Because if we know who we are, I mean, we are what? We are not manifestors. We are not just, trying to attract whatever we want to attract so that our life will become uh, more abundant or more prosperous. Because if you know who you are not a manifestor. We are not manifestors. We are creators. We can create practically anything that we want to have in this world, in this life. So what is there not to 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 think that it is impossible for us to think that is impossible for us to have? Nothing, because if we are creators and we can accept that, there's no problem now as to what we can really enjoy in our life. So we can practically have everything that we can now think of, and that no one can stop us from having whatever we want to have. That's exactly what I did more of discuss um, later on in my teaching of Kamalayan, because you know nga, I went already to the highest kind of teaching then, but then again, people did not appreciate what I was telling them. So I had to now start from the law of attraction again, the manifesting. But again, as I've said, we are not just lowly manifestors. So sometimes we get what we want, or sometimes we don't get what we want. We can always have what we want because we are creators. But the thing is, have you accepted who you are? Do you know who you really are? Now, the thing is, okay, sabi nga nila, kasi, di ba, that's why we reincarnate to actually um, live again a kind of life so we can overcome the karma that had been part of our life. So that means when you live again in this world, because you incarnated, was that was that something that has that something to do with karma? I don't think so, because we already have evolved from a certain lifetime in the past. Okay, so when we came here, what is it that we need to do? People say, well, life here on earth is about suffering. Life here on earth is about pain. It's about unhappiness. It's all about sickness, diseases. But is that true? I don't think it's really supposed to be that. Sabi nga nila, life on earth, you have to learn the lessons again. Because otherwise, if you don't learn the lessons, you will not evolve to a higher consciousness. But is that true? Is that is Earth is Earth a school? I don't think so. Earth is not a school. For me, for what I've always mentioned in Kamalayan, Earth is a playground. This is where we get to really enjoy what we can enjoy, do what we can do, and practically live the kind of life that we choose. Remember, as creators, we are not begging for something. That's why, sabi ko, if you are a manifestor, parang you're manifesting is, uh, what do you call this? A, a, a I forgot the word. It's like a low sense of begging. Parang ganon eh. Parang you're begging eh. Kasi if you're a manifestor, parang you're still begging. I hope I can get it. That's why, sabi nga nila, if you want to learn how to manifest, what is the first thing? Ask. But basically, that asking is not something that is already, I would say, uh, a quality of God, of who you are. What does that entail? If you are God and if you are a creator, you don't ask, you choose because everything is there already. You can have anything, everything is with us. So that means we have everything, and all you have to do is choose. So I think that's exactly what we can now look into. We are creators. We are not just mere manifestors, manifesting things. We can choose what we want because we know who we are. Well, yun na nga, I don't know, baka na-shock na naman ng mga tao when I mentioned this. Kasi sabi ko, I think it's about time again that I really now expose all these kinds of thinking, the kind of knowledge that I used to teach beforehand, before I switched to a That's why even okay, we have talked about soul contracts. Before in Kamalayan, I never talked about soul contracts. Why? I said, yes, we chose our parents. That's exactly what many believed in. We chose our parents before we came here on earth. Now, the thing here is, when we actually came, or when we incarnated again here on earth, if you are now who you think you are, that you are God as you, that means, did you come here to evolve? No. You came here to express who you are. I knew that from that early time on, that I already was God expressing myself here on earth as Tato. I mean, I was already God as Tato. And so somehow sabi ko nga, everything that what God wants to experience
So you.
is experiencing through me. That's why, I was already telling people that we are already God as we are not as a lowly human being trying to become spiritual and become God later on. It's the reverse that we have already been, that had been told to us. We are one with that source. And that source is, if we are one with that source, we are God as we. So every one of us is a different expression of God at this point in time, expressing itself. So uh, binago, they changed the kind of of information,
Teaching.
the knowledge that they imposed on us during that time, and they told us, no, you are not that. But then again, now everything is out in the open, and now we know who we are. That's why I think life is going to really become uh, the kind of life that you will choose that will make you happy. So I don't see any problem that we should experience in this particular lifetime that we are now experiencing. I don't know. I mean, you want to add anything to that?
Yes, yes, I do. Um, did you mention that you don't believe in karma? Did you just say that?
Well, it's like this. All right. Anything that we had already been doing in the past is part of our evolution as the experiences that we had experienced. There's no judgment to it. I don't see it in terms of bad or good. I see it as something that would actually become beneficial to us. Or if you choose the negative side, that's your choice. I mean, that's your uh, choice. So, yun ang point ko when it comes to karma. Because everything that happens to us is a result of what we had evolved. I mean, what we are trying to now become again, or or kasi there's no past and future. So everything in the past already is there. It's here now in the present. So what I'm saying here is in this particular moment now, we already are who we are at this particular time. And so, all right, so what do? We still go back again to our past, or move on to a newer dimension that we could actually enjoy. Because again, as I've said, we are really multidimensional beings. We have we can evolve into whatever dimension that we choose at a particular moment. When we had been doing that every moment in our life. We are not exactly in the same place at this time right now. We are always moving. More, I mean, um, I would say, well, yeah,
Different realities,
evolving,
parallel realities.
different, creating. Yes, yes, exactly. We're always experiencing different realities at any moment. Uh, the moment we change our thinking, our mind, it's already a different reality. So that means we we can now do away with all these things that we had in the past. Because remember, as I've said, as creator, as God, as we are the ones who actually write our script. That's why you need to soul contract. Sabi ko nga, di ba sabi nga natin, we chose our parents. Actually, during my early times of discussing this thing, I didn't say the words soul contract. I said, we are the director, the scriptwriter, the actor, the the the, the extras in our in our world that we are creating. We are the one creating everything, and every one of that of and every person or every being or every animal is a reflection of who we are. We are the only one, actually. Ito na nga nakakashock. That's why I don't talk much about this. We are just the only one in our world that create all these things. Tayo lang yan. And yun nga, we don't attract people or beings. We actually created them. So if you don't like your creation, what had happened in your script, you can change exactly everything again. Because we are the ones directing it. We are the creator. The, right now nga, maganda ngayon eh. In social media, sabi nga nila, the influencers are not anymore I mean, we we have evolved from influencers to what? Content creators. We are not influencing anymore like what a lot of people did to make money in social media. They became influencers. Now it's more of the content creators. What we're doing here exactly in our podcast is a content creation. This is what we are now enjoying in terms of what we can use or do in this particular moment using social media because the, the time of the influencers is already gone. Now it's a content creators. And so I think content creators will last longer because basically we'll just continue creating and creating. I don't think something else will overcome or will replace that. Because as I've said, what is it really that we are talking about here in Kamalayan? For us to evolve to a higher consciousness, to who? What kind of consciousness? To that Christ consciousness, being God as we. That's all. That's the real essence of what we're now doing here on earth. Here on earth, creating heaven here on earth, not hell. Because right now, many people are living in hell. But what is there to create? Oh, more hell? We can create now the real new heaven that we've been told that we are supposed to be experiencing. That heaven is here on earth. Sabi nga ni Jesus during that time. The kingdom of God is at hand. He's here with you because you are here. We are here. Tayo yung magkikreate eh. Tayo eh. Sabi nga niya, you are God as you. I mean, sabi niya, it's not me who can do this alone. As a matter of fact, he said, greater things that what I had done, you can do better. So each of us has that role to create that kind of heaven now here on earth. So yun ang pan talaga. That kind of teaching that we need to tell people. Kaya nga sabi ko, everything will already crumble, all these institutions, because we are now creating a new world, a new life, a new way us to live life here on earth. We are not living earth. We are here. We are eternal beings. Okay, maybe a lifetime. We are given a lifetime, but we can evolve. I mean, we can move to another planet later on because sometimes, nakakasawa naman nandito lang tayo palagi. So, where will you go to next lifetime? So, I think, there will be other planets to create, other worlds, other galaxies. It's infinite. So, practically, life is not going to be boring for us eternal beings because we are really eternal beings. So we have to realize that.
Okay, good. I think this is a good time to break. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Overtime ba tayo?
yes. Um, to conclude, I just wanted to again reiterate that ascension, like what Sir Tato said, it's spiritual awakening, awaken to your true nature, which is you're a spiritual being having human experience here on earth. And you're here because you chose to be here at this time to see the shift, in case you don't know that yet.
Exactly.
This big
Exactly.
shift from moving
Why
from
we
that
are.
third density to the fifth density, which means
We have
higher
awakened
density.
already.
So Earth's frequency is rising, and if we don't keep up with the rising of the frequency, then there's always consequences for that. And you don't want to know what that
Mhm.
consequences is. So just raise your vibration. And again, as I mentioned earlier, not being able to forgive is one of the things that will
Okay, okay. Maybe
not allow
we
you
will
to
one on that last. All right. Maybe okay. That's why nga ako sometimes I don't get affected anymore by people who somehow parang have offended me, offended in terms of sabi nila, baka naka-insulto or baka nagagalit ako. At my at this point in time of my life, I know who I am. I cannot be offended because if I cannot forgive you, that means I am not the God as me that I am telling myself that I am. God does not forgive because why does he need to forgive? You are God. I mean, who can offend you if you're God? Who can do something to destroy you? Nothing. We're not in this. We're indestructible beings in the first place. So that's why nga, yung forgiveness later on, yun na nga, you have to evolve to that kind of level already that you don't get affected by it. People who are affected are the ones who need to forgive. Wala ka pa dun sa level ng consciousness talaga that you could say, all right, I am not anymore affected by anything. So don't worry, no problem with that. So
and
yeah, but for others,
that's exactly why
yeah,
I'm having this conversation, because these are the common things that people do that are they're not aware of yet because they still have that lower consciousness. That's why we're having this discussion.
exactly,
And you're not going to
exactly,
be able to reach that level of wisdom unless your vibration is high. So what are those things? Again, not being able to forgive is going to block you from ascending. All right?
yeah,
That's one of the things. And then what do you call it? Your victim mindset, blaming others
victimized.
for
We're not victims.
blaming others for your suffering. All right? No one can affect you but you. That's the bottom line. So don't even try to blame anybody. And as I mentioned earlier, blame is very low in vibration. So if you're in that victim mindset, blaming your parents, blaming your spouse, blaming your kids, no, you're not gonna ascend with that kind of mentality. No, you're not. And if you haven't meditated yet, that's I don't know how else you're going to go within, but through meditation. The other things that I wanted to mention lastly is the frequency healing device also helps with your spirituality because it
Exactly.
opens this up. It opens up
Third eye.
your mind's eye, your pineal gland. So one of the things that also outside of just the frequency healing device, I do meditate regularly. So when you constantly meditate, then again, you raise your vibration and you unlock some of your human powers like telepathy, telekinesis, and you affect your,
Exactly.
like I affect my consciousness affects some of my electronics, right? Actually, my P90 gets affected by my frequency because it makes sounds all the time. It's like I haven't used it for hours, but it's like making sound. But that's what happens. And that's going to be becoming normal. now.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing I want to mention, which is current topic right now in the news, is the declassification of UFOs, UAPs. That's
Okay, that's
uh,
why.
that's that's very real. That's very real, and
Exactly.
you know this is not sci-fi. So be ready for that. Um, and I think you guys will hear this soon too. Like I just heard this today. There's a secret city in China, and it's called Project Heaven. Project Heaven. Um, Project Heaven mandated, something like that. But the reality, Sir Tato, that we're talking about, like heaven on earth, it's actually existed in China.
Yeah,
And
I will not be surprised.
and they were not able to, this reality that they created, this is not just a couple of hundreds of people. There's 2 million people already living in this hidden city.
Well, okay,
That's
okay, actually, okay, it's not anymore hidden. Actually, I've read, and I've viewed some videos already about it. You know, the aliens that we're talking about, they're not exactly aliens because they're right now here with us. They're living with us, and many of them are under the sea, under the waters. They're
Yeah,
living
but
underwater.
this one that was
And
revealed is actually not under. It's actually up.
up, yeah,
Just
okay. Now that
yeah.
now
And
to
these
answer that,
are normal beings. Of course, they had created it because they got help from the galactic, right? I mean, we cannot just do
yeah,
this as human beings, of
yeah.
course, but
That's
it's part of the disclosure. This is why this is entering the consciousness because they want to introduce that there's beings out there that help create these
helping us.
civilization. That's why I'm
As I've said,
mentioning it here.
I have been an open book in terms of who I am. Everything that I am discussing here or sharing here, practically, all right. I well, sabi nga, I always would say I got this from guides, from spirit guides, from extraterrestrial guides. But basically, I got it. I know I got them straight from the source. So, yun na nga, hindi ko lang masabi nun. Kasi every time I would mention that, palagi sinasabi nila, you're becoming heretic, you're becoming blasphemous, parang you're saying, you're like Jesus Christ. Sabi ko, why? Is that a solo thing that Jesus actually can do? I mean, every one of us can, I mean, are like
Tap in,
Jesus. Lock
tap
in,
into that
everyone.
power.
Exactly. That's why, yun na nga. There's nothing impossible. That's why, eto na yun. Talagang disclosure is happening now because they cannot stop it anymore. That's why I'm out in the open talking like this already because it's a good thing that you have given me the kind of exposure to be able to share these things. Because otherwise, I would just share it with my sa Kamalayan Cafe sessions and my blogs. But having this video podcast, uh, we are able to share this to more people now. So hindi na sila magugulat. Okay.
All right, it's good to end here. And thank you for your time again, Sir Tato, for sharing your
I'm the one.
wisdom
Thank
with
you
us.
also.
And thank you for
Thank
the
you
viewers
also.
for sharing this sharing this video. And I would leave the link so you can find more information on the frequency healing device. It would help you open up your third eye and heal your body. So it will be easier for you to ascend, um, understand your true nature, make sure that you meditate, you hydrate, and that's it. I'll see you guys next week again. Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.